I don't know about you, but my weekends have had a massive hole in them for the last 5 months. But fear not, as footy season is back to fill that void. And with that comes my inevitable ladder prediction. Lots has happened in the off-season, player and coach signings, as well as never-ending rumours. The NRL news world really never sleeps. I've taken many things into account for this ladder, and I'm taking it extremely seriously. So here it is, the Check the Score podcast 2026 NRL Ladder Prediction, kicking it off with the bottom 4 from 17 to 14. My 17 to 14 reads as follows. In last, I have the West Tigers, then the Gold Coast Titans, the St. George Dragons, and the New Zealand Warriors. All these teams are here for a handful of reasons, and that is the certainty of their halves going into the season. For the Tigers, the question for me is, who will partner Jerome Luai long term, plus a really tough schedule on paper? The side isn't actually that bad though, but I think there will be rumblings throughout the season, as there always is with that club, particularly with the major board change behind the scenes. A few bad results, and I can see Benji Marshall on the chopping block for sure. As well as this, the future of Dream Buller is still in question, and we saw what a similar thing did to the club last year. So unfortunately, for a team that I do hold close to my heart, they are at the bottom of the pile. Next, the Titans. They have a very experienced assistant coach, but nonetheless, he is a rookie head coach in Ben Hannay, so no one really knows how they'll shape up. I see this year as a very similar year to what Jason Ryles had at the Eels last year, and look at them now. On to the next team, the Dragons. They're a bit of a wild card for me. I just feel they're building for next year mainly. A lot of players off contract at the end of the year, Keon joining the club, tons of academy talent coming through the ranks as we saw last weekend, and I feel as though the future is looking bright on the South Coast. And then rounding out my bottom 4, I have the Warriors, who finished last season very poor, as well as missing Luke Metcalf for the first 2 months of the comp. It is going to hurt them a lot. The Warriors have been a bit of a yo-yo team, in and out of the top 8 over the last few years, and for me, I do see them dropping out this year. I also think excluding the Warriors, all these teams don't have elite depth in their forward packs, something that often proves costly in a top 8 race. One thing I will preface is that I think this is going to yet again be a very close competition. Last year, only 6 points separated 9th and 14th, so anything is possible. And from 13 to 9, I have the North Queensland Cowboys, the Manly Sea Eagles, the Newcastle Knights, the Dolphins, and the Canberra Raiders. The Cowboys are another weird one for me. I was writing some of these teams' crucial positions on paper, and a spine of Drinkwater, Purdue, Dearden, and Marnie should not be anywhere near the bottom 4. Everything in me says I should put them last or close to last, but with the experienced rep players that they have in their side, I just can't imagine them down that end of the ladder. A big question mark for me though is Todd Payten, who could be really treading eggshells this year if he's not careful. They came very close to pulling the pin on him last year, and I expect the same treatment for him this year. If that is something that happens earlier in the season, I can see them in a dogfight with the bottom 4. Manly for me are a weird one. I feel like they are a team that if they reach their full potential and keep Turbo fit, could easily find themselves in the top 8. But in the same breath, a few injuries and some bad performances, and I can see them in wooden spoon territory. I think their squad has a great blend of experience and young players, and have added some bodies into their forward pack finally, an area that I thought they were very much lacking in. The signing of Fogarty in my eyes could be rocks or diamonds. Despite playing his best footy last season, undoubtedly, there are a lot of X-Factor players in that side who want the ball in their hand all the time. And much like Todd Payten, Seibold is another coach with his job on the line. Does he see out the season? I personally don't think so, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Now, the Newcastle Knights are my smoky to finish this high. My preface for this is that they finally stick to a consistent spine for the duration of the season. As soon as I see Dylan Brown playing 5/8 one week and halfback the next, this guess changes to wooden spoon contenders or close to that position. For me, it has to be KP, Brown, Sandon Smith, and Croslin in your 1, 6, 7, and 9. And that for me is the key to success for this side. The biggest issue the Knights have is their lack of consistency, and if they can turn that around, I do feel like it will pay dividends. Another reason for me having them this high is the acquisition of Justin Holbrook, an experienced head coach who just finished a 2-year spell under Trent Robinson at the Roosters, someone who I have no doubt he learnt a lot from in that time. Next are the Dolphins, who once again will get close, but not close enough for me. They are a great side with quality across the park. Since their inception 4 years ago, they have developed some of the best young players in the comp, the likes of Kurt Donahue, Max Plath, and most notably Isaiah Katoa. If they hold down that core group of young players, plus the likes of Flegler, Hammer, and Farmworth, they will be a serious threat in years to come. I just don't think 2026 is their year. And next, a major fall from grace for the last year's minor premiers. I have them just outside the top 8 in at 9th spot. For a few reasons. First is the loss of Jamal Fogarty and substituting that for a rookie halfback. It just screams rebuild phase for the club. A backline with lots of flair, creativity, the likes of Weeks, Savage, Timoko, and Strange, all worthy of a mention. Although their forward pack is what stood out last season. I just look at that softball draw that they had and narrow score lines from last season, unable to be replicated again this season. All the teams around them in my eyes have improved, and they seem like they haven't. So for me, they will miss finals footy. Moving into the top 8, and I have the Bulldogs, the Eels, South Sydney, and my beloved Cronulla Sharks in at 5th. Canterbury is a side that I feel like I've been building for years. Unfortunately, I just don't think it's their time yet. The positive thing for me though, is that the key players in their side are insanely young. Club captain Stephen Crichton is just 25, Bailey Hayward 24, Lachlan Galvin is 20, Matt Burton 25, and the rising star Mitch Woods is only 19 as well. Add to this the latest acquisition of Leo Thompson, who I think is also huge. He is going to be that commanding prop that they have longed for in their forward pack. All I can say is that the future is looking bright in Belmore under Serraldo. I just think that the uncertainty around their halves pairing long term and a few other personnel issues, I do have them this low. Next, for the first time in the top 8 since losing the grand final in 2022, I have the Parramatta Eels. I really love what Jason Ryles is building, and I think it is really starting to show how good his side can be towards the back end of the competition last season. A halves pairing of Jonah Pezzett and Mitchell Moses is seriously scary in my eyes. Probably only Melbourne have a better halves pairing on the park. Not only that, but they have added forward depth as well with Jack de Belin, someone who I think was seriously undervalued by the Dragons. Lots of strike power in their backs and a side that is clearly on the rise. I think they'll be good this season. Now, onto the Bunnies, a side that have really been undone by injuries over the last 2 seasons, as well as an uncertainty in key positions. This year, I think they'll get things right, especially under the guidance of Wayne Bennett. Cam Murray returning is like a new signing altogether, as well as the massive coup of guys like David Fifita. And seriously, that left edge with him and Latrell is going to be frightening for defenders. I still don't think their forward pack is fully rounded out yet, but with Payne Haas coming to Red Hill next season, I think this year will be putting them back on track to be a premiership threat in 2027. In at 5th are my beloved Cronulla Sharks. And if I'm being honest, our premiership window is expiring. I feel as though the teams around us are strengthening and our squad is still what it was almost 4 years ago. I feel as though 2026 and 2027 are the final years for us being in that upper echelon of sides before we go back into the rebuilding phase, as we have a lot of young talent coming through our ranks. The Sharks probably have the forward pack with the most depth in the competition and a side that overall doesn't get disturbed too much by representative football. We have a bit of an injury ward already going into the season with the likes of McInnes and Mulatalo, so I'll be interested to see what changes for us this year. But I feel like you know what you're getting with the Sharks, hence why I have them finishing outside the top 4. Now for my top 4. And as stats suggest, the team that win the comp always come from inside the top 4, with the last team to do that and defy the odds being the 1989 Canberra Raiders. So, who are they? Well, from 4 to 1, I have the Melbourne Storm, the Brisbane Broncos, the Sydney Roosters, and returning to former glory as the minor premiers, I have the Penrith Panthers. Where do I start with the juggernaut that is the Melbourne Storm? A team that just never say no and always make the top 4. Why do I say they always make the top 4? Well, in 5 of the last 6 seasons, they have an almost impeccable record of making this fate. Grant, Munster, Hughes are all arguably in the top 5 players in the comp, but they have suffered a few losses in the off-season. The likes of Big Nelson Asofa Solomona, Pappenhausen, unfortunately Katoa to that awful head knock. With Bellamy still at the helm, the core playing group still there, coming off the back of 2 straight grand final losses, I can see them hungrier than ever. It is for this reason that I think they'll just sit inside the top 4. Now, for the Broncos. I do think they are a massive shoo-in to win the comp back-to-back again. In my opinion, they have the best roster in the comp, with talent spread all across the park, from their forwards, their halves, and their backs. But several things I think could hurt them. Injury-prone halves, countless players bound to play rep footy, as well as a preseason trip to England, and long-term future of some of their players, all play a part for me. They will still be my favourites come finals time to win it though, but as far as the regular season, I don't see them knocking off the top 2 sides. In at second, I have the Sydney Roosters, a side that still made the top 8 last season, despite losing a haul of players and being in a supposed rebuild. Well, they aren't here to play games in 2026, adding Reece Robson and Daly Cherry-Evans, making that spine very formidable. Add to that, the likes of Marky Mark and Angus Crichton leaving the club for rugby union at the end of the season, and they'll have something that they want to prove. I think that if they don't get top 4 this season, it's a disappointment, given how star-studded that Roosters side is. And taking out the minor premiership for me are the Penrith Panthers. They had an off year in 2025 by their standards, despite still making a prelim final, but they will have a chip on their shoulder in 2026, that's for sure. Unlike in years gone by, they haven't lost any massive superstars in the off-season, and look pretty settled with their side. Honestly, not much to be said with this placement. Even at their lowest in 5 seasons, they still managed to string together 9 consecutive wins last season. They are, and they have been the benchmark, ever since making the grand final back in 2020. And I anticipate that that theme will continue this season. And those are my season predictions. I've been talking for way too long, so let me know what I got right, what I got wrong. Let me know your wildest season prediction in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.